Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Cheryl Weston. Tonight, as I said, we're doing some series on the local elections, and many of you have watched our session with Joaquin Fox and also Miss Precious McKesson. And in that, there's been a lot of Facebook conversation. And so what I've done is opened it up to individuals who have commented or who would like to participate in the conversations to be able to come on and let's talk about it. I do have our guests for tonight, um, and we're going to bring him in. There he is. We had a little technical difficulty there for a moment, Hector,
Hi.
but he's here. And as I was explaining to the audience, is that I've opened this up for individuals who have commented on the conversations that we've had before. Um, I don't know, how should I say? I want to make it so that people understand it's not that my opinion is that I'm saying it's one way or another, or what should be. What I'm doing is to give individuals an opportunity to voice their opinion, such as yourself. And so when I talked to you, you had made a comment about the endorsement as well as the mayoral race and what you thought. So I want to be free to let the audience know this is what's going on. If you want to be one of the people we have a conversation with, all you have to do is go to the Facebook page and drop me a message and we'll set it up. It's that easy. Not trying to make it hard. So to get into it, Hector, I don't know if you had and let me give a little background about Hector. He's a community health worker here in Omaha, and he has his position is being able to provide the community with resources for social health. And originally from California, but you were raised in Omaha, on South Omaha. You left, came back to North Omaha, and I liked when you were telling me that you said, I've done some political outreach in the past. And so I feel like I have a general understanding. So you're ahead of all of us because if you've got an understanding of this political game, you are one step ahead. So with that, I would like to open it up for you, Hector, to um, say what you had to say. How do you feel about the mayoral race that's going on?
Um, First, thank you so much for having me in this medium. I think I get so riled up in like local elections and everything that's going on online and in my personal life with work that I wanted to find a way that I can like reach out to people and
Mm-hmm.
like just basically tell them to like just get out the vote because that's kind of like what my background was always been. It's just to get out the vote. Whether that be in like in my Latino community as well or just in
Mm-hmm.
general. Um, However, I think right now, I think right now it's a little bit unique because I feel like we might have a chance to have a new mayor, but it's just kind of hard because it's always been sort of like contested here in Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
We're so focused on like the bigger picture and like the big elections
Right.
every 4 years. And so there's not a lot of attention that I feel like comes in these local elections. So whatever I can to spread the word that it's just as important as big ones, I want to do that.
And that's what, I've been about like, some of the comments were, well, what is it it's not about what I want. It's about getting encouraging, like you say, your own communities and people to understand the importance of the mayoral and the city council race. It's important you get out and vote. Your local, and maybe you want to explain it differently, but your local is what makes the difference of your everyday life. Where you work, how you work, what you get paid maybe, or your streets, the possibilities of funds coming into your community. And like you said, it is so important because we have this tendency to be focused on national elections. And I'm not taking anything away from that. I believe that you should vote no matter what it is. But there is this ideal that we're so focused on that because you see it and you hear it so much. So my thought is maybe if we keep saying it and hearing it, we've got 4 weeks. I'm going to have it almost every single time is get out and vote. It's not to me who you vote for. That's your choice. I can say what I think, but it's your choice. But your point, like you said, get out and vote. It's important. And I don't know how else. How do you, well, first of all, let me go back and say, what's your feelings of why you think it's important to have a change for the mayoral race? Well, I don't, if you want to say your candidate is fine, that's not what my point is. Why do you feel it's so important that we have, and you said it, I like the way we have a chance to make a change. So therefore, you want to change.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Why do I feel like this? Something about this one feels a little bit more like special because like there's, and then maybe that's just because of what's going on right now
Mhm,
federally. There's a little bit more drive than there was 4 years ago. But I feel like personally in my community, in my North Omaha community where I live at now,
mhm,
things have not been so like there has not been as much faster change as I would
mhm,
like to, and you make a great point. I want to point out the streets, and I there's just so many there's so many already talks about streets, but like
mhm.
if you don't live it, you don't feel it. And then there's just something that I heard the other day in the video, like you can feel
Yes.
the lack of improvements here
Mhm,
in North Omaha. You can feel
mhm,
like the streets not being the sidewalks not being well kept or
mhm,
improved. Like and you can feel like the crime being okay in one spot, but then the very next neighborhood it's high. And so
mhm,
um I just think that and I just think that it's so important, like I said, to vote and not necessarily want to like particularly point out, oh, vote for this person, but just vote because
mhm,
then that creates like more energy and then just more awareness of like what's going on in our community. But
mhm.
I feel like I'm speaking very vaguely, but
No, you can
um
speak any way you want on my show.
um but yeah, I'm thinking right now of what happened during like the general election this
Mhm,
past like November. There was so much like division
mhm,
as even especially like in my community. I want to also kind of share a story of where I had my Kamala Harris signs removed from my neighborhood. I don't know who, but that kind of like just a little bit alarmed me because
mhm,
that just showed me how contested like these races are and um how emotional people get. And so in a way it kind of like um made me think like, okay, what are my intentions here? Because I don't want to start chaos, but I do want to spread awareness in a way. So, yeah, it's
And you got a point though. You should have the right to be able to spread that awareness. You should have that right to be in to engagement of individuals without having to have that anxiety or fear because of it. Um, and I always say, I've said it over, and as I was telling Jaquine the other, I'm going to say it over and over and over because sometimes I guess that's how it gets through to finally to people. And I think that what this conversation that I had and posted, and also s- comments that have come, it is getting people to say, you know what, there might be something to this. And I think that um, as I try to say, it's everyone has the right to do and vote for whoever they want, and they have the right not to vote. But do you see the value of voting? And if your vote was not so important, if it was not important, there would not be all this discussion about voting. And that should be the clue to wake us up is, and how do you feel about having discussions like this? Do you think that it helps people or it will inspire people to get out and vote? Do you think having the discussions will help people to see the importance and inspire them to say, you know what? So and so said so and so, and there might be something to this.
Yes, and I think it comes down to like um who's willing to step up and actually have these conversations just on
Hmm.
a general level because
Hmm.
I feel like there might be a lot of people who kind of shy away from talking about the importance of
Right.
voting or even fact supporting a particular candidate. So
Hmm.
I think part of what I feel like I am doing is that I try to like step out of the box and
Right.
and be like essentially like the first to talk about these things,
Hmm.
these conversations, just to open the door for other people to feel comfortable and say, okay, maybe if he can do that, I can do that too. Kind of like influence
Good.
people and
Right.
encourage people. And I just think like forums like these like will help people visually see
Hmm.
that okay, it's okay to talk about things, it's okay to get out the vote, even if
We can
we're not.
disagree. We can
Yes.
disagree about who it is. And at least that's why I would like to keep my chain open is, um, I can disagree, I can agree. But the thing is, we can have an agreeable discussion. And I think that's what's gone. We have so many other things going on in our life, and particularly like you have a good understanding of that in the field is having that so much of other things that we lose sight that this is important because this can make those other things in your life easier or it can make them more difficult. And that's what I like. But I think, and I give hats off to you, Hector, is you put yourself out there, you're putting yourself out because people who know you or some who are around in your sphere are going to say, well, Hector said he didn't tell me I had to vote for this person. He didn't tell me he just said I need to get out and vote.
Yeah.
And I think I commend you for stepping out, like you say, out of that comfort box to put yourself out there because it's such an important issue. So I do commend you for that. Um, when you look at what we have been having this firestorm on endorsements, and one of the things I pointed out was when you have as more is given to you and you put yourself there, you have a responsibility to make a decision. What was your, what is your opinion on that?
Um, I think you hit the nail on responsibility,
Mhm.
especially if you are someone who has
Influence.
influence. Yes. There is a level of responsibility that I feel like personally you should have.
Mhm.
Um, Especially if your level of influence is pretty high. And
Mhm.
so I think that there's just some some things you have to really look into and just really think deeply on like, okay, what's like my purpose here? Like if your purpose is to like serve yourself, I think everyone has that quality, but also like again, like you have a platform. And I feel like if I have a platform, I want to do good or at
Mhm.
least encourage to do good. Um, but I just think you hit the nail on the responsibility part because like with influence comes responsibility.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
And you already said you think that we have an opportunity here for change. So that would say to me, you feel there needs to be a change. And I would say, do you feel that there's need to be a change because of the circumstances within the community, or do you feel like there needs to be a change because there needs to be more term limits, maybe?
Mhm.
A person in this position should not be able to continue on as if they're entitled to it, is where I have a problem with. It's
Mhm.
um, I would think if the highest nation, the position in the highest in the nation, there is a term, and we've termed our senators in the legislature. I think personally, and what is your opinion on having term limits?
I think, first of all, I think 12 years is too long. I think 12 years is too long, first of all, um and I think money has so much to do with
Hmm.
this type of influence. Like having money, having the connections, having
Hmm.
the ability to pay for
Hmm.
connections. And I think all that kind of influences people. And then maybe that's something that needs to change, or that's something that there's this like general consensus like, oh, get you should get younger people more involved, or you should give the chance for younger people to be more involved in
Hmm.
politics. And I think that's so true, because there's come to a point where you start to lose touch, you start to get out of reality, and especially if you are in your own bubble,
Hmm.
you start to lose touch of the community, the people down on Main Street.
Hmm.
And I think there should be term limits. I think the mayor should be at 4 years, like max, or maybe even 2 years. But then again, if
It's kind of hard for the 2 year
yeah,
because you don't really get in, but what you're saying is um, term limits. Need to find that fine point as either 2 terms, or if that's what it can be. Like I say, I feel like if it can be the highest position in the country, then I would
hmm,
think same thing should be with the mayor. But I also agree with the point that I like the ideal of having some terms to it is, and if it's 12 years, whatever, I think there needs to be, because um it is what you said. You become, well, in politics, it's you become more with the money, and they be able to hold the carrot out there to, if I don't get this, you don't get that. We see that happening every day. But I also think, as you said, they do lose touch. But then it comes back to what is our responsibility as the citizens, as the voters. Why do we have a responsibility to hold them accountable?
yeah,
And we do that by the vote.
by voting, yeah,
Hmm. We can
yeah.
make that change different. There is a bill. What do you think about moving the local elections to the same time as the national elections?
I think that's great. I think that gives kind of like a general like awareness and attention to
Hmm.
local elections as much as the national ones.
Hmm.
So on that kind of level, I think that should happen. Um, because people really don't, and then I don't want to be like a pessimist, but people don't vote in these local elections,
Hmm.
and or at least not as much as the
Hmm.
the the national one. So I think putting it all together might give people more of maybe a chance to care, or about local elections. Um,
Because one of the I was at a function, and one of the things that the individuals at this particular function was saying, well, if we give up and put the local elections in with the national election, it takes away our ability, because um the ballot would have so much on it. And my thought was, well, if you didn't put all those extra amendments on it, it really wouldn't be too much to have the local, the mayor, or the city council added to that. Um, and so I think, you know, I I agree partially with what you're saying is maybe we should have this because then we would have people, if they come out, they're going to be involved. If they're going to vote, they're going to vote. But by the time our local turns around and comes, is we're so tired of political that, um, we don't participate perhaps as much as we should. And I want to go back to something you mentioned about, younger people. But should it be based on whether it's young or old? What about experience?
Yeah.
What about involvement? So would you be favor if it's a younger person, but they have never been involved in the political, they decide, okay, I want to run for this.
Hmm.
How would that be enough to sway you to vote for that person? Or what are you looking for, I guess I could say, in a candidate?
Yeah, I think I'm looking for, say if it's someone who is not really well versed in like the political arena
Hmm.
and their person just happens to be young, I think um honesty and just being honest that you're not really from like the political world. I think
Hmm.
I gravitate towards that more because then you understand, you have a general awareness that hey, this is something I'm not really well versed in, but I at least want to like put my name out there to spark a change or just
Hmm.
create that like momentum going for like other young people or just other people to start just run for something like that one organization out there that just run for something because
Hmm.
um I think that creates more ideas and just more different ways to approach different things. But I do agree that there's a level of like understanding that you need to know about
Right.
politics. I don't even know everything, but
No
uh
one knows everything. You haven't
right.
read. It's kind of like I always say, like if you can say you know everything, to me, you're dead because every day should be a learning. There's something that you can learn. Um, Something. I don't know if it's maybe how to change your shoes or how to do some, but you should be able to learn. So I agree with that. But there was a lot of controversy. And you said you're in North Omaha.
Mhm.
And so what was your thinking on having a large number of candidates for city council? How did you feel about that?
Ooh, I thought it was kind of overwhelming, but kind of in a good way, because then
Hmm.
everybody had so much um passion to like be in
Hmm.
this seat and to like um fight for a change or just
Hmm.
let people know that hey, I'm here to um be that leader for District 2. Um I thought that I don't know how long um like what's that one? Ben Gray. But
Hmm.
I feel like he needed to um keep or leave the position and just have more of like an open mind on young people.
Hmm.
And I he said something, what did he say? That then something about being a popularity contest and then maybe it's a popularity contest, but I don't think I really see it that way. I think it's just a lot of people have passion on like District 2, and especially a lot of people are like a lot of candidates are like hungry for a change. So I think
Hmm.
that should be allowed, that should be like accepted and um embraced. And I thought it was good.
And thank you for saying that. It's because, and I wrote a article editorial in the Public Pulse and they actually published it. Um, is that District 2, just because there was candidates, maybe that brought interest to voting. And I do think there were, although it was a low turnout, yes, but it was higher than it was in the previous. So,
Oh.
because you had more involvement. But I do think if we were going to get to having it all at one time, if it's going to be every 4 years, that we need to maybe make it just one thing, the national and the local all together. And then we have more time to maybe, um, I don't particularly like the word say campaign, but be able to get out the message for each candidate as well as the importance of choosing a candidate. Um,
Mhm.
and I think I see this time, this particular race is creating, and some people could say it's good or bad, but I think it is creating more interest.
Mhm.
I have not seen this much fire on Facebook and YouTube that people are, whether it's not important which way you are wanting to go or vote or the candidate, but it is the ideal that people are becoming more aware. Um, when I look at the mayoral race, and there was several ones that came up. I don't know. Bear with me on this because I'm still, no matter how many classes I take, I'm having this problem with this share, but I'm going to try. So I would like to get, if I think that's really important. And like I said, if something good happens in Omaha, the mayor's already got her name on it. Even if she didn't lift a finger, it's showing up at the finish line
Mhm.
pretending you ran the race. And
Mhm.
then I like the way Senator McKinney came back and explained what it is, because this is what I was saying when I posted something about the project North High and then the Levi Card. I was saying the projects are fantastic. The projects are it is the timing and the
Mhm.
way to be used in and it's politicized. So what is your feeling on this?
I have a little bit of strong feelings about this because this has happened every single election
Uh-huh.
where and then I'm glad that people are starting to realize, people are starting to use the words timing, like, the timing is weird, the timing this, the timing that. This
Uh-huh.
happened. I can go back to maybe this past election or even 4 years ago, talking about South Omaha
Mm-hmm.
and how the mayor only shows up on Cinco de Mayo, and that's when she promotes her next run or whatever. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's just so a little bit infuriating because people don't know you, or at least there's not as much effort for
Mm-hmm.
you to get to know North and South Omaha. And
Only
to
election time.
during election, except for during election time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way I see it, you're only doing this so you can get some votes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, and then people, and then supposedly I had heard from my partner that he used to go to North High.
Mm-hmm.
They been trying to work on this project for years.
Years. It has been Mr. Haynes, and I have so much respect for him and what he was able to accomplish at North High. And even in the article, I don't remember who wrote it, but it was saying this has been his dream and goal for years. Years. Now, we're not talking about yesterday,
Right.
we're talking about years throughout his career. And
Yeah.
I think he was at North, I know 30 plus years. So I don't know the exact, but the point is, all of this has been happening and been on the back books. And all of a sudden now you show up. And if you go back and look at that publication of it on her Facebook page, the mayor has, look at the audience, look at the pictures. Who are in those pictures? Very select, because if you are caring so much about this community and what you did and what you wanted to show, would you not have invited the community to it to be
Yeah.
part of it?
Yeah, yeah. And it's
Mhm.
interesting how easy it is for her to like basically
Mhm.
in John Ewan's words, pick up a finger and make
Hmm.
change. And I can just imagine how much have you have could have done prior to that or years
Hmm.
ago,
Yes,
um, with your power.
I agree wholeheartedly. Um, and I do apologize. We're having some internet here in the
I think it's
room.
mine, but I do apologize as well.
No, it's not yours. It's on this side. I could tell you it happened earlier, and that's what kind of took a while for us to get it click into you was, and it just started, oh, maybe about 10 minutes before we signed on with you. But I didn't want to miss this. I
Right.
wanted definitely to talk to you. Um, so with that, it kind of comes across how you feel because you kind
Mhm.
of led towards one, you wanted to change. And two, you don't like how this is being, and you like John Ewing's words. And in your post, you did say who you think there should be. And I'll leave it up. Would you like to say why? And in your post, if I don't know if you have it there, I didn't make a copy, but you did give, and I liked what you said is give him a chance.
Yes, and especially after the results that had happened
You
for
posted those, yes. Hmm.
yes, I see a change there where like if
Hmm.
there's only a matter of a few thousand votes, I think we can do it.
Okay.
And if all it takes is for me to like to reach out to someone to to get out the vote, then that's what it's gonna have to take. And I want to encourage other people to do the same thing. Is to vote, is to understand the voting process, understand that
Hmm.
you have to be registered, understand that you need your ID and the times and then all of that. Um, but I think that I would want John Ewing to be mayor. Simply because there needs to be a change and there needs to be just new eyes on the mayor office.
Hmm.
I've never personally voted for Jean.
Hmm.
And when she was first running, I think I was too young. But and I think I voted for like Keith Mello or
Hmm. Keith
uh
Mello, and
yes.
before that was
Oh, and then I think Jasmine Harris was running.
yes, she was running this time and the time before.
And the
Yes.
time before,
Hmm.
yes. And then so I think there just needs to be new energy, new drive.
Hmm.
And I feel like John Ewing, I feel like he has a chance. I feel like he has a chance,
Yeah.
especially after seeing the results.
I and it's just the people being able to get out there and
Yes.
make it happen. Um, well, Hector, we're almost in here with time, but is there anything else you would like to say? What and I want to say to you, don't let this be your last time. Give me a call. We can talk. Maybe it doesn't have to be about this.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking to do is I think within probably next week sometime or right after that, um, is do an event where individuals will be able to register free. There's nothing going to cost anybody, but just to have a larger circle of participation in discussion about this. And I will welcome the door to you. I will definitely post it and send you an invite on that because I think you have a lot to say and you able to, whether you want it to be or not, you're an influencer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Uh,
so, definitely will be doing that. But if you would like to have some closing comments.
yeah. Absolutely. Again, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to speak on this. I um wanna have like an opportunity to just reach out to everyone to get out the vote. And I
Hmm.
think coming from a community health worker perspective and coming from a health perspective, I
Hmm.
think health and politics kind of go hand in hand because there's a lot of policies that affect our health. And
Right.
so I think there needs to be more awareness about these policies, more awareness that hey, you can be against this policy or you can be for this policy, but either way, that affects our health that affects our community way on a way more broader sense than any other election, big election. Like you said, that is still important, but I would love to contribute in however way I can in getting out the vote. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I enjoyed it. And like I said, it won't be the last. And as soon as we get a date, I will definitely let you know. And like I said, I would welcome you being involved. And I appreciate the time. Thank you so much. You have a great evening.
You too. Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Bye.